Do you think that it's a reasonable expectation for mums to be able to use a business class toilet on a flight if they are pumping? A bit of context. I have got a 4-month-old baby and I'm currently on maternity leave. I was asked by my work if I wanted to join them on a quite big trip that they had abroad. But it would mean that I would have to leave my 4-month-old baby, and my baby is pretty much exclusively breastfed. It felt like a really great opportunity. I love my job, and it was just coming back from maternity for like one day, so I just felt like, yeah, it's totally worth it. But it would mean that I was going to need to pump throughout this trip, because obviously if you don't pump when you're breastfeeding, when you're away from your child, your boobs can get like really engorged and sore, and if you don't express at all, you can end up getting mastitis, which is like an infection, and it's just not very pleasant. Airport and stuff, I managed to do that kind of fine because there were toilets with like, you know, lots of cubicles and stuff that I was able to use. That was all fine. But on the flight, it's going to be like a little bit more tricky. So I was quite anxious about this, so I decided to speak to an air stewardess. Is the toilet the best place for me to do that? There's somewhere else on the plane, because obviously me being in the bathroom when there's only like one toilet cause problems for the other passengers, because they're going to be needing to wait while I'm taking like quite a while in the toilet. But like, where else can I do that? Because I literally have to like get my boobs out, and obviously that's not appropriate, especially on a work trip. On the way out, I decided to like shoot my shot and speak to an air stewardess, and oh my gosh, she was so sweet and so kind. Said, look, let me go check if there's anywhere. She went and had a little look, and she was like, look, we used to have this curtained off area, but we don't anymore. But look, don't worry, I've got you. What I'm going to do is when I bring the drinks trolley, I'm going to signal to you. Then you can come to the back of the plane where there's 2 toilets, not one. All I've done is essentially, because you'll have come out before I brought the drinks trolley, a lot of the other like passengers will be like basically stuck behind the trolley, so there won't be as many people coming to the toilet, and there's 2 toilets there, so you won't cause a problem. It'll be completely fine. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, just God bless kind people. I was very emotional and just very, very grateful. So anyways, that's what I did, and it was all fine. And on the way back, I thought, okay, I'm going to speak to the air stewardess again. And I like had to like lean over this fella to like speak to the air stewardess. Anyway, when she comes over, I kind of straight away clocked like, oh, she's not as friendly, but fine, I'm just gonna ask. So in front of this like random guy, I was like, I'm a breastfeeding mother, and I'm traveling away from my baby for the first time. Like, is there somewhere on the plane I could pump, and or is it only the toilet? And she was like, well, if the toilet's the place you feel most comfortable, then yeah. And I was like, well, obviously, because I'm not going to feel comfortable just like getting my boobs out in the middle of the plane. So I was like, okay, well, I noticed that because where I was sat, I could see there was just the one toilet, right? But it was a plane with a like curtained off area where the front was a more premium area. I was obviously just flying economy. I'm not some like high flying executive person. I was just in economy. Didn't have access to like the front of the plane where there was maybe 2 toilets like there had been on the plane out, or at least one toilet where like less people were going to be using that toilet. So if I was in it for a longer period of time, I wouldn't be causing as much of a disruption to the other passengers. That was like my logic. So I kind of said, I explained the situation, and could I maybe use that bathroom just because, you know, then I won't be causing as much of a like nuisance. And she was like, no, your ticket does not give you access to that part of the plane. I was like, okay. So I just used the like toilet and took longer to move because the baby woke up. So yeah, I just wondered, do you think that is a reasonable expectation to be able to use the business class toilet, or do you think that is kind of just pushing it and a ridiculous thing to expect? Or do you think, you know, maybe they could make accommodations for that, or maybe just pumping isn't really a good enough reason? I just wondered, like, I just wondered your thoughts. And I'd also just be really interested to hear from anyone else who has travelled while newly, like, you know, fairly recently postpartum, and having to do something similar with the pumping situation, and how you navigated it. Because I didn't really plan it at all, really. I didn't like, you know, think ahead to like where I was going to be able to do it and stuff. And it was quite tricky. Like, trip itself was fantastic. I'm so glad I was able to do it, but the pumping aspect was quite hard.
yeah, I would just be really curious to know your thoughts.